This is the Conscious Hour. There's been a lot of talk about the Strait of Hormuz, but the one problem with it, what they've been showing you on the news, you can't see it. This is why you want to tune into the Electronic Intifada. This is John Elner. I followed him since the big unprovoked October 7th lie. And you want factual based information, here you go. But now you actually get to see why it's totally insane to be putting our troops on an island and think that we're going to go in and attack Iran. But hey, we got Pete Hegseth, and I call him Musclehead. And just listen to this one, it'll blow your mind.
And the fourth week of the war will always be the fourth week of the war. So here we go. Let's take a look at the maps off the top. Strait of Hormuz, of course, in the news, a lot of talk about Karg Island, that the U.S. is going to, that the talking head generals say the U.S. is going to occupy that island. Tamara put a nice little arrow in here for us to show you where that island is, up on the northern shore. That's Iran to the north. It's the Persian Gulf that you're looking at, and you're looking at that tiny island. The island, Karg Island, it's not an oil field. It's an oil terminal. It's where they ship the oil from. So it's not entirely clear what the U.S. Strategic benefit of that is, other than to shut down global oil supply, which doesn't seem to be what they're interested in doing, considering how much Trump manipulates the markets by telling them what they want to hear. But in any case, when you look at that island up there in the top, and then you look down in the bottom right corner of that map, that's the Strait of Hormuz. And the U.S., with the most advanced warships in the world, are too scared to run the Strait of Hormuz with those warships. But they're seemingly planning to land forces on those islands to hold those islands. I mean, the same reason they're not putting a ship through there is the same reason why they will get hammered if they're on those tiny isolated islands. They'll be sitting ducks, not only from coastal fire, but from fire inland. There's fast boats. A lot of talk about the Navy being destroyed is fraudulent, because the key part of the IRGC Navy is their fast boats, missile-capable fast boats that are deployed from in those rocky shorelines that are not being touched by these U.S. strikes saying that we've knocked out the entire Navy of Iran. They've knocked out ships that were tied up on the shore, but the most strategic weaponry that the Iranians have is all in place. And when you look at that map and the gradation, the overwatch that Iran has over this tiny body of water, where 20% of the world's oil comes out of, you can just see how far-fetched, I think. We won't predict. Again, we're saying we're not going to predict. The war can always escalate. Armies can always do dumb things. The U.S. is, of course, has a long history of doing dumb things and losing. So we'll see how this goes. But I just wanted to show you that map off the top. Let's look at number 2, because this is CENTCOM's map. They use the Central Command, the U.S. Body in charge of operations in the Middle East. This is the map that they show, which makes it all look a little clearer and maybe a little easier to digest. But again, you can see the tiny area. It's Iranian coastal waters all through there. Virtually, it's only a small sliver of it that is not Iranian coastal waters. So Iran has sovereignty over this area, and they have for 4,000 years or so. So that's the Strait of Hormuz seen from CENTCOM. Let's take a look at this map from the New York Times, because we get a little different angle of it here. And again, you can see the neighboring countries. You can also see, if we start from the left and go up, you see the UAE, you see Qatar, you see Bahrain, too small to even have its name written on its island. These are very vulnerable places that we know. We've watched for the last 27 days of war. They're extremely vulnerable. They're very close. Look it up. If we could continue up to the top, you can see Kuwait, Kuwait has been hammered during this war. U.S. bases in Kuwait were a major node for United States expeditionary planning for the entire last 40 years, right? Since Desert Storm, they've built up significant bases in Kuwait, and those are all being hammered. They're all being evacuated. The troops are not on those bases by and large because it's too dangerous, because they're getting pummeled every day. And you can see this map shows the shallow waters. And that's what I was saying about the previous map, that the CENTCOM map doesn't show you the shallow waters. It doesn't show you how skinny the strait actually is because of those shallow waters and territorial waters. So I think that's a good map. You can see the gradation of the land that gives overwatch for everything that Iran does militarily in that strait. So there's going to have to be a negotiation on the Strait of Hormuz. I don't see the U.S. Putting warships in there to facilitate transfers. On previous programs, I've told you about how they simply did not have enough to do that. So now they're talking about a Marine Expeditionary Unit in the 82nd Airborne coming, and what are they going to do? Airdrop them onto those islands?
Suicide missions.
That doesn't seem like a good military strategy, although I've noticed that on American media networks, the generals seem to really like this plan. Let's go to the next map.
That's because they're driven by Pete Hegseth.
Because this is how they explain it. If you look at the top there, it says small islands could be seized by U.S. Marines, experts say. So I don't know if they know that they're going to be occupying those islands that are so small that they don't even show up on this map. They didn't show up on the map that CENTCOM put of the Strait of Hormuz. So they're small enough islands that they don't appear on those maps, but they're going to put a bunch of U.S. troops on those islands.
So the point is perfect. Who's running this ship? It's got to be Pete Hegseth. He's got to have some power over these people, because nobody in their right mind would put your troops on an island. And how are they going to get to the mainland? And look at how mountainous the mainland is. This is a suicide mission. Pete Hegseth is going to get our military personnel killed for one thing: idiots in charge. I mean, this is just absurd. Absolutely absurd. But hey, when you got an ego the size of a freight train, and you got Donald Trump running around with derangement syndrome, he just kind of waffles from one area to another and then spews out whatever he wants. Boy, they got him by the cojones. Yep, the old Epstein files. Yep, they're all kind of afraid. They're getting exposed. Yeah, and when they're ready to blow the world up.
On the low-lying land, Sun Tzu always said, don't fight uphill. And that's certainly what they would be doing. I think he would probably say, don't fight on tiny, isolated islands as well. But I don't think that he got to that analysis. But it doesn't seem like a plausible military strategy unless utter defeat is what the U.S. is going for. Let's take a look at number 4, because as this has been happening, Iran has been already making the strait useful. Okay, what this map shows you even more of the gradation. So you can see how the firing positions, that's Iran to the north there. You can see the firing positions that Iran has down into that strait, and compared to the defensive positions that they have compared to the Americans being out on those islands just in the middle of the sea. It just seems like a very unlikely military pursuit. But Trump may send them there. So I guess, the other thing is they don't have to always fire from the coast. I think the U.S. is trying to make the justification that if you bomb all along the coast, that there won't be missile firing capabilities along the coast. But that doesn't matter. Those exact same capabilities can be fired from inland. And in fact, it's those anti-ship capabilities that have the USS Lincoln 1,000 kilometers off the shore of Iran, because it's afraid of those same weapons. And then they're saying,
this is the Conscious Hour, folks. I'll cut it off right here. You heard it, you've seen it. Pick up the phone if you're in the United States, call your congressional representative and say, excuse me, what the hell is the U.S. doing? Shut it down. And you're never voting for them again. Tune into the Conscious Hour, hit the like and share button, and please donate too. Thank you very much.